us as an organization. Thank you. If I may just take a moment to introduce us as an organization, Eyewitness Palestine has been around for 20 some years, since 2001. And our name used to be Interfaith Peace Builders, but we changed our name in, I believe, 2008. I apologize, the dates are wonky. But what we do is we take people on immersive experiences to understand the Palestinian experience firsthand and become witnesses to the lives of Palestinians. Um, and because after the events of October 7th, it's been not possible to get delegations in, we have recently shifted towards increasing education to create motivation around action to call for a ceasefire in Gaza as the beginning of a conversation that leads towards a free Palestine, inshallah. So today we are doing our live from Bethlehem, Christmas is Canceled in Palestine webinar. We have with us a few guests. This is being sort of jointly hosted by Dar Al-Kalima University. We have the president and founder of Dar Al-Kalima with us today, who will be one of our speakers. And the donations will be split half between Eyewitness Palestine and half with the university. And so if you are compelled, please do make a donation. We will drop the link in the chat. And if this is your first time with Eyewitness Palestine, we will also drop a link for you to sign up for our newsletter. But yes, let me introduce our executive director, who will introduce our speakers as well. Our executive director is Nancy Mansour. She joined the team recently, and she will be host or the facilitator of this meeting today. Nancy, تفضلي if you're ready.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much. My name is Nancy Mansour. I am the executive director at Eyewitness Palestine. I am really excited about the event today. We have some really great speakers. As a Palestinian Christian, this is a very important subject for me. As most of you have heard, Christmas celebrations in Palestine are cancelled as we witness the horrors that are happening to our brothers and sisters in Gaza. I did want to update some numbers today to keep everybody up to date with what is happening. It's really hard to keep up with the number of deaths, the number of injuries. And so as of yesterday evening, 74 days yesterday into the genocide of the Palestinian people, the Ministry of Health in Gaza released the numbers. 19,667 Palestinians have been martyred, killed by the occupation forces. Over 7,000 people are under the rubble, still missing, and people are unable to reach them. There's over 8,000 children that have been murdered. 310 of those murdered are medical personnel. 97 of those murdered are journalists. 52,586 have been injured. 99 people, healthcare staff have been arrested. 8 journalists are in detention and being held. 1.8 million people in Gaza are currently displaced. 1.8 million people in the Gaza Strip are currently displaced. 126 government buildings have been destroyed. 90 schools and universities have been completely destroyed. 112 mosques have been completely destroyed. 3 churches have been targeted and destroyed by the occupation. 52,600 housing units have been completely destroyed. 23 hospitals have been disabled by the occupation. 53 health centers have been disabled by the occupation. And 140 health institutions partially targeted by the occupation. 102 ambulances have been completely destroyed by the occupation. And it's crazy to me because I wish I could read every single name of every single human being that has been murdered over the past couple of months. I wish I could read the names of the thousands of human beings that have been murdered over the past 75 years, but obviously we would be here for hours. But every single human life is sacred. And you know, I just want to say I'm giving you numbers to keep you up to date, but for me, it's also painful to just throw numbers out there as if they're numbers. Today we have 3 very special speakers. And like we said, 50% of the donations today will be going to Dar Al-Kalima University in Bethlehem. It's an art and cultures university founded by one of our speakers. I do urge people to please go in and donate. In the link that Maureen will put into the chat, it will say that the event has ended because it started already, but at the bottom it can say it says make a donation, and you can make a donation right there, whether it's $1, $5, or $100, it all makes a difference, and we do appreciate your support. You can also sign up to our mailing list on eyewitnesspalestine.org. We will put that into the chat as well. We appreciate everybody being with us today. Our first speaker is the founder of Dar Al-Kalima University in Bethlehem. He's an author and editor of over 50 books. His books and numerous articles have been translated so far into 13 languages. He served as a senior pastor of the Christmas Lutheran Church in Bethlehem from June 1987 to May 2017, and as a president of the Synod of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land from 2011 to 2016. A social entrepreneur, he has founded several NGOs, including the Christian Academic Forum for Citizenship in the Arab World. He is a founding and board member of the National Library of Palestine and a founding member of Bright Stars of Bethlehem. He's an elected member to the Palestinian National Council, as well as the Palestinian Central Council. I'm very honored to introduce our first speaker, Father Mitri Raheb. Tfaddal, Abuna.
Thank you for this introduction, and good to be with all of you. It's a pleasure to be with Archbishop Atallah Hanna, a great friend, and together we are in the Kairos Palestine movement as well. And it's great also to see many friends, many names here that I can recognize. Thank you for joining us this evening. We heard right now the numbers, but as we heard also, behind every number, there is a face, there is a name. And Dar Al-Kalima University actually is the only university in the West Bank that has a satellite program in Gaza with a center and staff there. So when I see these pictures, I think of all our staff and students in Gaza. And let me share maybe with you a few names to start with, just to give that some flesh. Because Christmas is actually the feast where we think of the divine becoming human, sanctifying all human life. This is the human life in Gaza. The director of our center there, Rana, a young artist, a sculpturist who direct our center there. Her house is in Gaza City in Tell El-Hawa. She had to evacuate, and now she is displaced in the south with the 1.9 million people, together with her 2 kids and husband. In this war, we lost 4 of our staff and volunteers, creative artists that were looking for the future with hope, with dreams. They really wanted to do something for their lives and for their people and for Palestine. Young artists like Halima, who was helping us in the last war on Gaza 2 years ago, doing art therapy, reaching out to the many kids who were traumatized in this war, who survived the war but were traumatized through art and through culture. Or Muhammad Sami, a performing artist. In fact, he was murdered in the attack on the Ahli hospital. He was gathering kids there to sing with them about peace. And in fact, that song was captured by Al Jazeera just 2 days before he was murdered, because he wanted to bring some calm, some healing, some peace to these kids who were traumatized by all the war there. And then the airstrike that hit Al-Ahli hospital killed him and the children with him. We have 300 students in Gaza. We lost, you know, all the connections with them. We are not sure if they are still alive or if they are on the streets without a place to stay. And this breaks our heart because it's very personal. It's not only that it's a genocide, but it's a genocide to people that we know, that we came to love. You know, the first time I went to Gaza after 20 years being not able to go there, I met 3 artists, a young artist, and I came back to Bethlehem, and within 2 weeks, over 200 young creative artists from Gaza added me on Facebook. So Gaza is a place full of creativity and people really loving life. And now we see how they are really murdered. But also what many people do not know is that there is a Christian community in Gaza as well. Less than 1,000 in 2 churches right now, in the Latin Church and in the Greek Orthodox Church. 3% of the Christian community in Gaza were murdered in Israeli attacks. First, 24 were died because no access to medical facilities. And just last Saturday, an Israeli sniper actually killed 2 women within the Latin church compound while they wanted to cross from one building to the other on the church compound. So, I mean, when you know these people, when you have connection to them, it becomes very personal. And what bothers me as a pastor and as somebody who has been actually working in dialogue for so long is to hear the genocidal language. It's not only the genocide itself, but also the genocidal language that we hear, you know, when Israeli defense minister call us human animals. When Netanyahu calls us Amalek, and quote 1 Samuel 15:3, where God is telling Saul to go in and to kill a whole community, man, woman, children, elderly, even ox and sheep. And this is, again, it's not only the language, then that is what we see. When I hear, you know, an Israeli minister saying, you know, the only solution is to drop an atomic bomb on Gaza, or when another military person is saying we should have an epidemic in Gaza like what was done with the Native American in North America 400 years ago. This genocidal language, this hate speech is something that, you know, it's very difficult really for us to hear, but also to experience what this is done, and then to see that many countries in the Western world keep supporting this genocide by sending ammunition, sending additional funding, and standing with Israel even when it does this genocide. So But I will come to the biblical message again to end with at least this section, because you know, the Christmas story that came out of Bethlehem is not about the reindeer, and it's not about the white Christmas, and it's not about the jingle bells. Actually, it's about a child that was born to a family who was forced to leave by an imperial order from the north, from Nazareth to the south. It's exactly what happened to the people in Gaza. It's the story, actually, of a child that is born as a refugee. It's the story of Mary, the pregnant woman, like the 50,000 pregnant women who are on the run and cannot find a place where to bring their child to life. It's the story of Herod, the bloodthirsty king that in order to stay in power, he ordered to kill the children in Bethlehem, and over 8,000 kids actually are killed in Gaza in this war. And it is the story of the angels who actually sang and proclaimed glory to God in the highest, which means glory belongs to the Almighty, not to the mighty empire. And the peace that peace on earth, the peace that the angels proclaimed, was not the Pax Romana, the peace of the empire, the Roman Empire, that was based on subjugating of other nations and oppressing them, but on a different kind of peace that is built on human dignity, on equality, and on justice. And this is, I think, the message that we want to bring to the whole world. Hopefully, you know, Bethlehem gave Jesus to the world. It is high time for the world to give peace to Bethlehem. I will stop here.
Thank you so much, Father Mitri. I want to invite up one of your students who are excited to hear from. Since we told you that 50% of the donations that we'll be getting will be going to Dar Al-Kalima University, we have a student of the tourism program from Dar Al-Kalima, Islam, who is speaking to us from Arrub refugee camp based in Al-Khalil, Hebron. تفضلي حبيبتي.
Hey everyone. First, I want to thank Dr. Mitri for inviting me, and I want to thank everyone, especially you, Nancy. And it's a great opportunity to be heard, because living in this place and trying to raise your voice, it's quite challenging because of the way they target everyone online in real life. And I want to start talking about the life before the ongoing genocide in the university. The university, it's being there, it's warm, it feels like home. Everyone is kind to each other, especially the doctors. In specific, I want to talk about Teacher Rose. In this meantime, we're taking courses with her, and she helps us a lot, like mentally, like it separates us from what's happening, and the laughs we laugh with her. It's helping a lot. And since that day, I wasn't able to enter Bethlehem, since I live in a refugee camp. It's between Hebron and Bethlehem, and we're cut off from the two cities that we seek life and quite freedom there, because in the refugee camp there's no sense of freedom or life. It's just a bunch of crowded homes on top of each other, and in front of that camp there's a military base with advanced weapons and technology. We can't do anything about it, and we're just surrendering and staying at home. And in fact, since the beginning of the ongoing genocide, we weren't able to go outside and have our daily life. They're completely blocking every single entrance to the camp, and that applies to every entrance in Palestine. They use a lot of ways to degrade and humiliate us while we go through the checkpoints. And it's quite scary, like, to think about going outside of the home and not being able to come back, because they at any point they can close that entrance. And for me, when I go to Bethlehem, it's like a second home to me. That's where I get some glimpse of freedom there, and that is taken away from me now, because since what happened, until this day, I was able to go outside of my home only for 3 times, and I wasn't able to go to Bethlehem either or see my university. And it's scary, like, because when I try to go outside of my home, I only go outside with my dad or my mom, because going outside alone, it's a challenge. It's quite horrific because what they are able to do to any of us. And I make sure to record whenever we pass through that checkpoint, because you would never know what they are able to do or capable to do. And they made it hard to us. Like, for me to go outside of my home and pass through the checkpoint, walking without any car or anything, and going on a highway where people are not allowed to go there, only to take a car and enter Bethlehem. And that process used to be a bit easier before. It took half an hour to reach the university. Now it takes 2 hours, 2 hours and a half to get there. And especially entering, it's not as going outside of Bethlehem, because they make sure people who are going out suffer a lot. They keep them for hours waiting to get out, and they take their phones, they humiliate them, they hit them, and yeah. And that's what I have to say for now. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, Habibti. We appreciate you, Islam. Please stay on. I do want to ask folks, if you have questions, you can put them into the chat, and we will be asking the questions after our next speaker. Our next speaker, I'm excited to introduce, will be speaking in his native tongue of Arabic, and will be translated simultaneously by professional translator, our brother Mustafa Hashish. Born in the Upper Galilee in 65, he began studying Greek in Jerusalem after high school, and then went on to study theology in Greece. He earned an MA in theology from Thessalonica University in 1991, returned to Jerusalem in the summer that year, and received the rank of bishop in Western churches. In 93, he became the spokesperson and director of the Patriarch's Arab department. He also worked as a teacher in local schools, lecturer in Christianity at the Haifa Arab Teachers College, renowned for his media appearances in which he focuses on the Palestinian identity. He was arrested by the occupation forces from his home in the old city of Jerusalem. He had his Israeli passport confiscated and was pressured to refrain from political activities. He was again briefly arrested and interrogated in 2002 and 2003. The next speaker is live from Jerusalem, strongly spoken out against Israel's targeting of all components of Palestinian society. I am honored to introduce the Greek Orthodox Archbishop of Sebastia, Archbishop Theodosis Atallah Hanna. تفضل أبونا.
شكرا جزيلا لكم على هذه الدعوة وعلى هذا اللقاء، وأحيي القس متري الراهب صديقنا العزيز وكافة المتحدثين والحاضرين والمشاركين في أعمال هذه الندوة الافتراضية.
The Bishop thanks everyone for the invitation. and everyone who is participating, and greets and thanks Reverend Raheb Mitri, as well as everyone who is attending today.
عنوان هذا اللقاء رسالة الميلاد من بيت لحم. وأنا حقيقة أود أن أبتدئ كلمتي بتوجيه المعايدة لكل المحتفلين بعيد الميلاد المجيد في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها.
The message today is a Christmas message from Bethlehem. This is the title of the bishop's message today, and it's a Christmas message to everyone who is celebrating Christmas around the world.
لقد أعلن رؤساء الكنائس المسيحية في القدس عن إلغاء كافة المظاهر الاحتفالية بالعيد واقتصارها فقط على الطقوس والقداديس التي تقام داخل الكنائس.
The heads of all the churches in Jerusalem this year have decided to cancel Christmas celebrations and to limit all celebrations to the prayer services that are held inside the churches.
لكي نرفع الدعاء والصلاة في كنائسنا من أجل السلام في هذه الأرض المقدسة، ومن أجل أن تتوقف الحرب في غزة قريبا وسريعا.
So that we can raise our voices in prayer inside the churches to pray for peace and to pray for an end of this war as swiftly as possible.
إن رسالة الكنائس المسيحية حول غزة وحول مسألة إلغاء المظاهر الاحتفالية إنما تحمل الكثير من الأبعاد، وأهم بعد هو تأكيدنا كمسيحيين فلسطينيين على أن التعدي على غزة واستهداف غزة هو استهداف لكل الشعب الفلسطيني بكافة مكوناته.
This message of canceling Christmas in Jerusalem and in Palestine carries many dimensions. Most importantly, the dimension of the message that says that Christian Palestinians are offended and attacked by the attack on Gaza. The attack on Gaza is an attack on all Palestinians, including the Christian Palestinians.
آلاف الشهداء الذين ارتقوا، ناهيك عن أولئك الذين هم ما زالوا تحت الركام، وشهداءنا في غزة هم ليسوا أرقاما، فكل شهيد له قصته وله طموحاته، وكل هذه الطموحات وكل هذه الأحلام ويا للأسف الشديد طمرت تحت الركام بسبب هذا العدوان الإسرائيلي الهمجي.
Thousands of martyrs have fallen in Gaza, and many more are under the rubble. They are not only statistics, but every martyr and every killed individual is a human story who held their aspirations and their dreams that are now all buried under the rubble.
الرسالة التي أرادها رؤساء الكنائس وكافة المسيحيين في هذه الديار من خلال أرادوا إيصالها من خلال إلغاء المظاهر الاحتفالية، إنما هي مناشدة ومطالبة لكل الكنائس المسيحية في العالم بأن يصلوا من أجل فلسطين ومن أجل السلام فلسطين ومن أجل غزة في هذه الأيام التي فيها يستعدون لاستقبال عيد الميلاد المجيد.
The message from the heads of churches in Palestine and from all the Christians in Palestine is a call to the churches of the world, to all the churches in the world today, to pray for peace in Palestine and for peace in Gaza.
نود أن نذكر كل المسيحيين في العالم وغير المسيحيين أيضا، ولكن نحن اليوم نتحدث عن رسالة الميلاد. نود أن نذكرهم بأن فلسطين هي مهد المسيحية. في فلسطين ولد السيد المسيح، ولذلك نرى أنه من اللازم ومن اللائق ومن الواجب أن تتذكروا فلسطين وشعبها المظلوم في هذه الأيام كما وفي كل الأيام.
we would like to remind all Christians of the world and all non-Christians, but this is a Christmas message, so in particular the Christians of the world, that Palestine is the birthplace of Christianity, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. And so remember Palestine and remember peace in Palestine during these days and pray for them.
نداؤنا الذي نوجهه للكنائس، طبعا نحن نريد منكم أن تصلوا من أجلنا ومن أجل غزة، ولكن نريدكم أيضا أن ترفعوا الصوت عاليا وأن تنادوا بشكل واضح بضرورة أن تتوقف هذه الحرب التي خلفت هذا الدمار الهائل وهؤلاء الشهداء وهذه الدماء البريئة، هؤلاء المدنيين الذين يدفعون فاتورة هذه الحرب.
We call on all the churches of the world, in addition to the prayer that we ask, to raise your voices high, to call for an end to this war, an end to this war that has created so much destruction and spilled so much innocent blood, that it must end.
نداؤنا نوجهه أيضا لكل شعوب الأرض من كل الأديان ومن كل الأعراق بضرورة أن يتحركوا من أجل أن تتوقف الحرب. لا يمكن أن تستمر هذه الحالة المأساوية وهذه المشاهد المروعة في غزة.
Our call on all people of the world as well, you must take action, you must raise your voices in order to end this war, quickly to end this war against Gaza.
أختتم مداخلتي بجملة بسيطة. الكثيرون في هذا العالم يتحدثون عن السلام، ونسمع قادة الدول الغربية يحدثوننا عن السلام وعن دولتان لشعبان، ولكن على الأرض لا نرى أثرا للسلام. ما نراه على الأرض هو احتلال، هو إمعان في قهر وظلم الشعب الفلسطيني واستهداف الشعب الفلسطيني.
I conclude with a simple statement that we hear so many around the world speak of peace, speak of two states for two people living side by side in peace. But on the ground, we see nothing but oppression and occupation.
نتمنى من أولئك الذين يتحدثون عن السلام أن يشددوا على مفهوم العدالة. بدون العدالة، بدون إنهاء الاحتلال، بدون إعطاء الشعب الفلسطيني حقوقه كاملة، لا يمكن أن يكون هنالك سلام حقيقي، وستبقى كلمة السلام شعار يتغنى به البعض.
We hope and we ask everyone who speaks of peace to emphasize the notion of justice. Without justice for the Palestinians, there cannot be peace, and the calls for peace will remain hollow slogans that have no meaning on the ground.
شكرا لكم. أختتم عند هذا الحد لكي نفسح المجال للأسئلة.
Thank you very much. I will stop here to open the space for questions and answers.
Shukran, Abuna. Thank you so much. Mustafa, stay with us because we're going to need you. I will start with the first question. And we can start with Father Mitri answering, and then if Father Atallah would like to answer as well. What are your thoughts on the Western churches and the lack of them speaking up against this? Many feel betrayed by Western churches. What are your feelings about this as Christian Palestinians?
Yes, actually, there are a few churches that are speaking boldly and speaking truth to power, including in the US, if I'm thinking, of some of the mainline churches like the Presbyterians, the United Church of Christ, the Disciples, the Lutherans, etc. But our problems are with the Christian Zionists, who are anxious for Armageddon, who support this genocide because they read Joshua and they think this is what's happening is what God is asking them to do in Joshua. But also churches in Germany, Because of the guilt, they keep silence. In Austria, same problem. I mean, how can it be that human rights organizations speak truth to power while many churches cannot? For me, the heart of the gospel is about justice. And this is really what we as churches should stand for. I know it's costly, but this is really what Jesus called us to do. I mean, you heard it from Islam. It's not easy for her even to have a post on Facebook. She can be detained for that. When we speak up, we are taking risk. Without taking risk, actually, I think we lose credibility. And what I'm really fearful is that many churches already have lost their credibility for us, exactly like their government with their double standard and with backing such a genocide in the 21st century.
يعني ما أود أن أضيفه إلى ما تفضل به القس أخونا أبونا متر الراهب. أن تكون مسيحيا، أن تكون إنسانا، هذا يعني أنك يجب أن تطالب بوقف الحرب. ثقافتنا كمسيحيين هي ثقافة سلمية لا عنفية. لا يمكننا أن نقبل بالحروب، لا يمكننا أن نقبل بالقتل، لا يمكننا أن نقبل بامتهان الكرامة الإنسانية. ولذلك من واجب المسيحيين جميعا في العالم من كل الكنائس الأرثوذكسية والكاثوليكية والإنجيلية أن يعلنوا موقفا واضحا رافضا لهذه الحرب. هلا إذا ما كان هنالك تيارات تبرر أو تدافع إلى آخره، فنحن نقول بأن هذا ليس موقفا مسيحيا. لا يمكنك أن تكون مسيحيا وفي نفس الوقت أن تؤيد قتل المدنيين وقتل الأطفال وتدمير غزة. وبالتالي القضية قضية إنسانية وأخلاقية وإيمانية بالدرجة الأولى. نحن هذه القضية تحمل كل هذه الأبعاد. لا يمكننا كمؤمنين أن نقبل بما يحدث حاليا في غزة. وأنا أقول لكل الكنائس ولكل المسيحيين يجب أن يكون هنالك موقف واضح رافض لهذا العدوان على أهلنا في غزة.
As Christians, as believing Christians, our culture is a culture of peace. We cannot accept war and violence. And as Christians, we must call very strongly and demand an end to the war in Gaza. You cannot be Christian and accept this kind of violence. It is a religious issue. It is a spiritual issue. It is about faith. Every Christian, based on morality and on faith, must demand an end to this war.
Hold on.
في كمان سؤال أبونا عطلة، إذا بدك تجاوب أول أو بعدين إذا بحب أبونا متري كمان. عم بسأله بهددوا فيكم كتير لما بتحكوا أنتوا على الاحتلال عشانكم في الضفة وفي القدس. بهددوا فيكم عشان عم بيحكوا إنه كتير بشوفوا إنه الصوت الفلسطينية المسيحية عم بسكتونا كتير وما بتشوف كتير يعني أونلاين وهيك عنا. سو عم بيسألوا إنه إذا بهددوا فيكم خاصة هلا بهذا الوقت عشانكم عم تحكوا. هذا الأول سؤال.
يعني حقيقة هنالك ضغوطات وهنالك تهديدات، هذا كله موجود. وحدثت اعتقالات حقيقة في أكثر من مكان بسبب الموقف من الحرب، الموقف الرافض للحرب. نحن من ناحيتنا لن تؤثر علينا هذه الضغوطات. عندنا موقف، عندنا مبدأ. نحن نرفض القتل، نرفض الحروب، نرفض العنف، هذا مبدأ. نرفض استهداف أي إنسان. كل البشر بالنسبة إلينا كل البشر هم خلائق الله، ويحق لكل إنسان أن يعيش بحرية وكرامة. وأهلنا في غزة خلقهم الله هم بشر كما هم كل شعوب العالم، ولا يجوز أن يعامل أهلنا في غزة بهذه القسوة وبهذا الأسلوب الغير إنساني والغير حضاري. نحن عندما ندافع عن شعبنا لا ندافع من منطلق سياسي، نحن لسنا سياسيين، نحن لسنا تابعين لأي جهة سياسية أو لأي حزب سياسي، نحن مسيحيون، نحن فلسطينيون، وانطلاقا من قيم إيماننا المسيحي ومن هويتنا الوطنية نرى أنه من واجبنا أن ندافع عن شعبنا الفلسطيني المظلوم.
So the question to the bishop was about the threats that they often receive for speaking up against the occupation and against the oppression, and if these threats continue now. And the Holy Archbishop said that yes, there is a lot of pressure, there are threats, and there have been multiple arrests because of our position against the war. But our principled position remains steadfast. We oppose the war. We believe in the right to life and the right to dignity for every single human being, for every human soul. And our people in Gaza are human beings who deserve to live and who deserve dignity. We are not politically affiliated. We have no relation to any political formations or parties. We are Christians, we are Palestinians, and we have a principled position for peace and against war.
Thank you so much. I'm going to keep the questions going. Abuna Mitri, sorry, هنطلع السؤال because there's a lot of questions. This question is, how do you teach towards a theological misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the Old Testament that God chose this land for Israel?
Actually, let me do a commercial here, because this was exactly the topic of my last book that came out 3 months ago, called Decolonizing Palestine, the Land, the People, the Bible. I have a whole chapter on that issue, as well as on the notion of chosen people. What basically I try to say there is to connect settler colonialism with this kind of reading of the Bible. Unfortunately, you can find such settler colonial ideology in the Bible if you want to find it. I always say the Bible is often like, you know, like the bazaar in the old city of Jerusalem. You can find everything there. So if you are looking for you know, ideas that will support your settler colonial ideology, you can find them, say, in the book of Joshua. But if you are looking for text of liberation, text of resistance, text of life, you go to the prophets in the Old Testament, you go to Jesus. And this is why for us, Jesus is so important as the focus point, because he continued this prophetical aspect of the Old Testament.
Thank
This
you.
is in a nutshell.
Thank you. And you can promote your books as much as you want. They're good books to read. We will be sending out the link to this Zoom to everybody afterwards. It will also be on our YouTube page. And we will send out links to the websites and how to get in contact with Father Mitri and Archbishop Atallah Hanna after this. I want to ask a question. I'll say in English and then in Arabic for the Archbishop Atallah. There is a question of how can people reach the people that can make a difference in the churches. There's somebody that says here, I've gone to a handful of Catholic churches in LA, in Los Angeles, and they have not mentioned Palestine. Who are the people that they can call to pressure the churches to speak the truth? So I'm bis'alo, and also what they can do in their own communities to pressure their churches. So أبونا عطلة عم بيسأله كيف بيقدروا يحطوا ضغط مع مين لازم يحكوا في شاب في مرة عم تسأل إنه بتروح على الكنايس اللي في لوس أنجلوس وما بيحكوش عن فلسطين شالي، وبدها إنه تحط ضغط على الناس اللي بيقدروا يغيروا هذا الإشي. عم تسأل مع مين لازم تحكي، هي مين اللي أعلى منهن يعني اللي بيحكوا بالكنايس اللي في أمريكا يعني.
يعني أنا أعتقد بأنه كل واحد فينا في عليه مسؤولية إنه يوصل الرسالة اللي لازم توصل. وأنا بعتقد إنه يمكن في أمريكا في مشكلة معينة، إنه البعض لا تصلهم المعلومات كما يجب أن تصل، في تضليل، في تزوير، في تشويه. ولذلك أنا بعتقد إنه إحنا بهمنا إنه أصدقاء فلسطين ومحبي فلسطين والمتضامنين مع فلسطين بهمنا أن تتسع رقعتهم وأن يصل صوتهم إلى كل مكان، إلى كل الأوساط، بما في ذلك الأوساط الكنسية. طبعا في أمريكا في كنائس كثيرة، في مئات أو آلاف الكنائس. مهم جدا أن نقرع الأبواب، كل الأبواب يجب أن نقرعها بطريقة إنسانية، بطريقة لبقة، بطريقة حضارية، أن نوصل الرسالة وأن نذكر الجميع بواجباتهم تجاه فلسطين وتجاه القضية الفلسطينية. أنا ما بعتقد إنه في حدا من المسيحيين اللي في العالم اللي عم بيحتفلوا بعيد الميلاد ما بيعرفوا إنه المسيح ولد في بيت لحم، ولد في فلسطين. اسم فلسطين اسم معروف، مذكور في الكتاب المقدس، واسم يعني له علاقة بأرض، له علاقة بشعب، له علاقة بمقدسات، بتاريخ، بتراث. يعني إحنا مش عم نحكي شغلة اللي اخترعناها، إحنا ما اخترعنا هذا المسمى سنة 48 أو سنة 67 أو خلال هالسنوات الأخيرة. فلسطين موجودة منذ مئات السنين ومنذ آلاف السنين، وقضيتها هي قضية عادلة. وبنتمنى إنه المسيحيين اللي في العالم اللي عم بيعيدوا لعيد الميلاد يتذكروا إنه هون مغارة الميلاد، وهون أرض الميلاد، وهون هذا الشعب المظلوم اللي يسعى لكي يعيش بحرية وكرامة. هلا أبونا الأسيس متري كل كتاباته وكل النصوص والمؤلفات تبعته بتلامس الفكر الموجود في الغرب، وبالتالي مهم جدا انه كمان يكون في تواصل مع ابونا متري ومع دار الكلمة، يكون في تعاون من اجل ايصال الصورة الحقيقية لكل مكان في العالم.
شكرا أبونا. تفضل مصطفى. sorry.
So everyone has a responsibility, carries a responsibility to deliver the message and to raise their voice. There may be an issue in the US, especially where the messages don't reach, where perhaps there is an attempt to prevent messages from reaching, and to blur the reality, perhaps. But we call on everyone to deliver their voices, to knock on all doors possible, to deliver the message. I doubt, the bishop says, I doubt there is any Christian who does not know that Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem in Palestine. Palestine is a well-known name. We did not invent the name in 1948 or any other date. The name has existed, and Palestine has existed for centuries and for millennia. Everyone knows this. This is the land of the holy birth. Everyone knows this. And our dear friend, Father Mitri, has his writings, his books address the issues that are often thought about in the West, and we call on everyone to cooperate with Father Mitri and to read these books and seek the answers therein.
Thank you, Mustafa. Abuna Mitri, I'm going to ask a couple of questions at a time. We're going to try, and we're going to be going over just a little bit, so if people could stay with us as long as they can. How has the war against Gaza impacted Palestinians throughout the occupied territories? And also, there is Paula here who says, one of our board members, hi Paula, who says, I have many friends who are Palestinian activists, but not Christians. And they're asking how they can approach churches there to bring your message to them. What suggestions do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, the situation in the West Bank actually is deteriorating in a way that we never experienced. First of all, as Islam said, every city right now in the West Bank, every refugee camp is basically besieged. So there are lots of restriction on movement. There are restrictions on social media. To give you an example, one of our students, for example, Shams, she had a post, against the war in Gaza. She is an Israeli citizen, so she lives by Akko. The Israeli soldiers came and detained her while she was taking class on Zoom with our professor here in Bethlehem. And so this is really the freedom of speech is very, very much limited right now. Unemployment is very high. You know, you have 130,000 Palestinians who have been working in Israel are unemployed. Bethlehem lives on tourism. 70% of our economy depends on tourism. All hotels you can imagine are empty, and maybe for 1 year there will be no tourists in Bethlehem. And then you have people working in the government. They are not getting, since many months now, their salaries, because Israel is blocking actually all the tax that Israel collects on behalf of the Palestinians are holding this back. So the economic situation is terrible, but also depression. I mean, people are depressed when they see what's happening in Gaza, you know, when they watch these images. I mean, lots of psychological problems as well. I'm not talking about Gaza, I'm just talking about the West Bank. Gaza, God helps them. I'm not sure how they will be able to survive this genocide. And maybe the last thing are the Israeli settlements that are growing in the West Bank, mushrooming, and Jewish settlers that now actually are, they got guns, and they are attacking Palestinian civilians on roads between cities, etc., villages. So very difficult situation.
Shukran, Abuna. Thank you so much. Also, I want to say, please go to Father Mitri's website. It's mitriraheb.com. Is that correct?
.org.
And order his book directly from him. Do not buy it from random people. We want to support. We want to support directly. There is a question also, and then maybe you can answer it and then pass it to Abuna Atallah. People are asking right now the best ways to send a message about what's happening in Palestine, besides protesting and boycotting. You know that the Western media is calling language around pro-Palestinian activism, anti-Semitic. They want to know how you feel about that, and what can folks do to counter this, or to resist what is happening with the freedom of speech. And again, just overall what people can do to support Palestinians on the ground. And also if you can just add how safe it is right now in the occupied West Bank, people are asking.
تفضل أسيس.
تفضل، تحب تبدأ سيدنا؟
تفضل.
I think what we need right now is to call for three things with very clear message. Archbishop Atallah said it's very clear now, very important to call for an immediate ceasefire, enough killing. Second, to call for an open and sustainable humanitarian corridor so that we can get medicine, water, food, and power to the besieged people in Gaza. And thirdly, we need to work towards a just peace for Palestinians. 100 years we have been neglected. We went through so many genocide. It's high time that Palestinians will receive their right, and they deserve to have life and to have life in abundance. So this should be right now, I think, our three asks. Now, it's important actually to do several things. One is to educate people around you, awareness, because, you know, I watch every day American news. I'm not talking about Fox News. I'm talking about like almost CNN and so on. What you see there is only right now, only a very small portion. Before even you heard only the Israeli narrative. So it's very important to disseminate alternative information, and you can find them on so many websites there. You can follow activists, people on Twitter or Facebook, etc. I mean, I try almost every day to post something that people can, you know, just to make awareness. We need to bring people to Palestine. In fact, today we have a South African delegation with few international that they came on solidarity visit to Palestine. And we started encouraging actually groups to come, not to do the normal tourism, to run where Jesus walked, but to see where God is today, what God is doing today. God today is in Gaza. There, Jesus, you can see him in Gaza. And so Eyewitness Palestine does such tours. We encourage you to think of coming with them on your next trip. And the other thing, try to, because now no tourists are coming, to support Palestinian products. And through the product, you can tell the story. In fact, on the website of Bright Stars of Bethlehem, you can see many of the stories of our students, like Islam, are there. These human stories are so important to humanize the Palestinian people in a context where we are being dehumanized every day. You know, I hear every day on American TV a barbaric attack on October 7th. We know it was a terrible attack on October 7th, but why do you use barbaric only for October 7th and you don't use it for the genocide that is taking place here? This is dehumanizing Palestinian, and we should speak up against that.
وأبونا عطلة بتحب
نكتفي بما قالوا أبونا بكفي.
Okay, so السؤال لك أبونا عطلة. Mustafa, you may have to translate a little bit. Can you please explain further as to what you have gone through or witnessed living under oppression? My mother does not speak English very well, and hearing it in Arabic and from an archbishop will help her understand that this is not a religious war, but a war on all Palestinians. My mother and I have been praying for all Palestinians non-stop. May God protect you. As Christians, we will pray and use our voices to push for peace and to stop the war.
السؤال أبونا، لو ممكن توصف الظلم والقمع اللي بتتعرض له. والسائلة تقول أن أمها ما بتحكيش إنجليزي ممتاز، وحيفيد أنها تسمع باللغة العربية عن أن كيف أن هذه ليست حرب ضد أو حرب دينية، وإنما حرب ضد الفلسطينيين برمتهم كلهم بملالهم وأديانهم.
يعني حقيقة نحن في فلسطين عندما نتحدث عن الشأن الوطني نحن نتحدث كعائلة واحدة مسيحيين ومسلمين، لأن ممارسات الاحتلال تستهدفنا جميعا. طبعا نحن الآن نتحدث بنوع خاص عن غزة، ولكن أيضا القدس مستهدفة، القدس التي منها أحدثكم. أنتم تتابعون أن هنالك استهداف للمقدسات الإسلامية، وهنالك استهداف أيضا للأوقاف المسيحية التي يعتدي عليها المستوطنون في إطار سياسة هادفة لطمس معالم القدس وتهميش وإضعاف البعد الفلسطيني في مدينة القدس. أنا أعتقد بأنه ما هو مطلوب منا كفلسطينيين في هذه الأوقات العصيبة والصعبة التي نمر بها هو أن نكون موحدين، وأن نتحلى بالوعي، وأن نتحلى بالحكمة والقدرة على أن نوصل الرسالة إلى كل مكان في هذا العالم. صوت الشعب الفلسطيني يجب أن يصل إلى كل مكان، وأعتقد بأن هذا ما سعت الكايروس. هذه رسالة الكايروس منذ سنوات، وهذه رسالة دار الكلمة والقس متري وعدد كبير من رجال الدين المسيحي الموجودين في القدس، أن يوصلوا رسالة الشعب الفلسطيني وآلام الشعب الفلسطيني إلى كل المسيحيين في العالم وإلى كل الشعوب في العالم.
When we speak about our cause as a nation, about our struggle as a nation, we speak as equals Muslims and Christians in Palestine. The exercises, the practices, the policies of the occupation target all of us, not just one group of us. We are particularly concerned with the current events in Gaza, but the attack on the holy sites in Jerusalem continue. I speak to you from Jerusalem now. The attacks, the holy Muslim sites are being targeted, as well as the Christian holy sites. There is an attempt to manipulate, to change the identity of the city. We as Palestinians must be unified. We must be aware. We must be wise, so our voices can reach the entire world. We, as a people, must raise our voice everywhere, deliver our message everywhere, and this is the message of the Kairos movement, the Kairos document, the message of Father Mitri, and everyone as well, that we try to deliver.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. Just really quickly, I will add, people are asking about the delegations of Eyewitness Palestine. You can go to our website, which I just put in the chat, eyewitnesspalestine.org, and read more about our delegations. We are hoping to resume as soon as possible. There are interest forms that you can fill out, and as soon as there is a delegation going, you will receive an email regarding that. As far as donations, currently, the organizations on the ground in Gaza, there is not much aid getting in. And so I'm hesitant to say who to donate to. We have done events and donated to Mecca, the Middle East Children's Alliance, and to PCRF. I can speak that Palestinian Children's Relief Fund have been bringing children that I'm in contact with to the United States for emergency medical surgeries and help. So I know that PCRF are doing work like that. As far as aid getting in, I can't speak to that yet. I think the situation is so dire, there's not enough getting in and not enough being allowed in. But as soon as we identify that, we will email folks and let you know when we know. I do urge folks to donate to the link that Maureen will kindly put into the chat again. Again, 50% of that is going to Dar Al-Kalima University in Bethlehem, who the founder is Father Mitri, that you're seeing speak. And so the other question was to Father Mitri. There was some products people said you mentioned people can buy from certain websites or certain products. Is there a specific place people can go to help support Palestinians on the ground that in the West Bank or Jerusalem to support products from there at this time?
Certainly, I mean, you have agricultural products like oil, etc. You have olive wood products, especially now for Christmas. We have a website where we are selling what our students are producing in art pieces. It's called Paltizana. I will put it also in the link there. Yeah, there are many organizations that you can actually support through that.
We will definitely add those. Let me just see. I'm just going through. There's so many questions. We appreciate everybody that has been messaging us. Let me see. It's another question. أبونا عطلة بيسألوا من الضغط يعني I'll ask it in English and then Mustafa will kindly translate. But from the do you not get worried about the threats that are made when you speak out? I think this question is for both Father Mitri and Father Atallah. Do you ever get worried for your families? You know, from the threats that you get for speaking out, and will it ever waver or stop your activism or speaking out for Palestinian Christians or Palestinians as a whole, I should say? Should we start with
مطران؟ يا تفضل سيدنا.
يعني حقيقة لو كنا ننتمي إلى هذه الشريحة التي تخاف من أن تتحدث لما لبينا دعوتكم لكي نكون معكم في هذا اللقاء. أنا أعتقد بأن لقاءنا معكم إن دل على شيء يدل على أننا لا نخاف من أن نقول كلمة الحق التي يجب أن تقال وأن نعبر عن موقفنا. وطبعا موقفنا يعني نحن لا نتجنى على أحد ولا نظلم أحد. نحن ننادي بالعدالة، ننادي بالسلام الحقيقي، ننادي بتحقيق أمنيات الشعب الفلسطيني. يعني هذه بدون هذا لا يمكن أن يكون هنالك سلام حقيقي في منطقتنا. نحن لا نخاف حقيقة من أن نقول كلمة الحق. وأنا بعد دقائق أيضا سأكون متحدث في إحدى الفضائيات أيضا عن هذا الموضوع. يعني نحن نتحدث، وحقيقة الشيء الأساسي الذي نؤكد عليه في هذه الأوقات هو ضرورة أن تتوقف الحرب. لا نتحدث عن شيء آخر في هذه الأوقات سوى على التأكيد على ضرورة أن تتوقف الحرب وأن يتم إغاثة أهلنا المنكوبين في غزة.
So the bishop was saying if we were the type of people to be afraid, then we would not have accepted your invitation to attend this event today. I think that accepting the invitation, the fact that we are here now speaking, is proof that we are not afraid to say the truth. We are not making up stories. We're not creating false accusations against anyone. We are speaking up for justice. We are speaking up for truth. This is what we are calling for. This is what we are speaking about. And in fact, in a few moments after speaking to you, I will be, the bishop is saying, I will be on TV speaking again about, of course, the same topic. The most important thing now at this moment to call for is the need to end the war. That is the #1 priority right now, to end the war and to allow for all the assistance, for all the relief assistance to reach our sisters and brothers in Gaza.
Maybe I can add to that. I studied in Germany, and one of the great theologians that I came to respect and love, he was already deceased, he was killed actually, is Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer was one of few theologians who during Nazi Germany had the guts and the courage to speak truth to power. He paid with his life. But now many Germans are saying we didn't know. And those who knew regretted that they did not speak up. Without comparing what's happening here with the Holocaust, I think every human being is asked during his lifetime to stand up for things he believes in. Without that, actually, life loses its taste. So, yes, it's a costly discipleship, as Bonhoeffer called it. But what is life without, being to wake up in the morning and to look in the mirror and to say, did I miss something? And did I miss doing something I could have done? Did I not say something I could have said? Could I have contributed a bit in at least, allowing less people to be killed in Gaza? I think this is a question that I have to deal with whenever I need to look in the mirror every day.
Thank you so much. 2 questions. Maybe you can take one, or Abuna, Archbishop Atallah. One is, somebody asked, and I didn't really want to ask it, but a lot of people are saying this new narrative now that, oh, it's not a genocide. How is it a genocide when there was 2.4 million people there? And so somebody asked, is it just Palestinians? Like, what other nations see this as a genocide? Is it just Palestinians? I mean, I could answer that, but I'm going to let you answer it. And then also, without justice, there can be no peace. Can we elaborate a little bit about that, what that means, especially in the context of Palestine?
سيدنا
أسيس متري تفضل.
ترجمة. For sure, I think everyone agrees that it is war against crime against humanity. So there are 3 steps in the Human Rights Charter. There is war crimes, which is definitely happening almost on every day. When you target schools, when you target hospitals, when you target churches, when you target mosques, when all of this infrastructure, when you don't allow food to come in, these are all war crimes. If you have many war crimes, it's called crime against humanity. And the 3rd step is genocide. And actually, many human rights organizations started already months ago talking about intent to genocide, but now actually, because it's not only, remember, it's not only the 100,000 people that have been murdered or injured so far. Think about all those who will be killed because of diseases, because of polluted water, polluted air, all the chemicals that are in the air, etc. The war is not over yet, and the destruction of, 300,000 homes destroyed. Do you think there are so many mass people, 300,000 people? So why destroy 300,000 homes? The whole infrastructure, 60% of the infrastructure has been destroyed. Human rights organizations are saying it is genocide, and I'm not the expert. I refer on what they are saying.
Thank you so much. Archbishop Atallah, would you like to add anything?
يعني حتى المسؤولين الإسرائيليين، من يتابع ما يقوله السياسيون الإسرائيليون وخاصة من هم في هذه الحكومة، بعضهم يتباهون ويفتخرون بهذا الدمار وبهذا القتل يعني أحدهم قال بأن في غزة لا يوجد هنالك مدنيين، الكل يعني ما دمت موجودا في غزة يعني حلال أن يتم استهدافك وأن يتم قتلك. يعني هنالك توجهات عنصرية وهنالك مواقف عنصرية في أعضاء في هذه الحكومة ووزراء في الحكومة الإسرائيلية الذين يعبرون، يعني أحدهم قال خلال الساعات الماضية بأنني أفرح وأبتهج عندما أرى الأبنية تدمر وعلى من هم فيها إلى آخره. يعني كلام لا يمكن أن يقبله أي إنسان عنده قيم أخلاقية وإنسانية. أنا أعتقد بأن ما يحدث في غزة ليست حربا عادية وليس عدوانا عاديا، بل هو تطهير عرقي، تدمير شامل، ومحاولة للتآمر على الشعب الفلسطيني وعلى القضية الفلسطينية من خلال تهجير الفلسطينيين من غزة.
For anyone who follows the statements of Israeli officials, especially in this extremist right-wing government, they take pride in the destruction caused by this war. One of them said that there are no civilians in Gaza. In other words, saying it's all fair game. You can target all the lives in Gaza. There are racist, very clear racist positions in this current Israeli government. One of them said, "I celebrate when the innocent people are killed." I believe that this is not just a war as we see it, but it's an attempt at ethnic cleansing, at the forced displacement of the Palestinians in order to eliminate to the Palestinian cause and this attempt by the Palestinian people for independence.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask this last question and then we will close it out since we've gone over half an hour, and we thank everybody that has stayed with us because this has been very powerful. There is a question here and it is important. I've seen this a lot. How do you combat organizations like CUFI, which is Christians United for Israel? They tend to spread a lot of misinformation and also have a very large following. And there are some of these mega churches that have millions of followers. And so how do we combat those kinds of organizations?
Assis Mitri?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, but my latest book, again, tried to shed light on this and to actually what I tried there is to reframe what Christian Zionism is actually as the lobby, as the Christian lobby for Israeli settler colonialism. And this is a very dangerous, it's not only dangerous, by the way, for us Palestinians. If you read their writings carefully, they are at the heart anti-Semite because they want to bring all Jews to Palestine so that 2/3 will be killed in the war and the last third will convert to Christianity. So they are calling for the annihilation of the Jewish people. But Netanyahu has no problem to share bed with them, not out of love, but to fulfill selfish desires. And this is how it's really a political game, and they are using American Christian nationalism and blend that with settler colonialism. It's a very dangerous ideology. If you read my book, that might help, at least now, for now. Let me maybe just add something, because it is important for us as Christian theologians, bishops. We are not against the Jewish people or people of Jewish faith. Palestine has been throughout history a pluralistic society where Christians, Muslims, and Jews were living together, most of the time under foreign rule and empire. And so there are many Jews in Israel who are against what's happening in Gaza, but nobody listens to them because they are not white. They are not coming from Poland or from Ukraine, like most of the establishment right now, the troika that you hear about every day. And we are glad that, and we are in solidarity with the many Jewish groups in the US who really stand for Palestinian rights, not only because they love us, but because they want to make sure that as Jews, they want to live their faith and their values and their human values. And so for us, our ultimate goal is for a pluralistic Palestine, where the two peoples and the three faiths can share Palestine on equal footing, not as oppressor and oppressed. So I wanted just to make sure, and this is actually against everything that the Christian Zionist wants, because the Christian Zionists, they don't want to see harmony and cohesion, but they want to see war because they are anxious for Armageddon and they want to hasten the second coming of Christ, and they have no problem to violate human rights in the name of divine rights, and this is against everything we believe in.
Thank you so much.
هذه المجموعات المتصهينة التي تدعي الانتماء للمسيحية حقيقة يتبنون تفسيرات مغلوطة للكتاب المقدس وخاصة للعهد القديم. طبعا نحن لا يوجد الآن وقت لكي نتحدث بإسهاب عن هذا الموضوع، ولكن أتذكر موقف للبابا شنودة، البابا الكنيسة القبطية الأرثوذكسية في الثمانينات عندما زار أمريكا، وكان له لقاء مع الرئيس الأمريكي في ذلك الحين كارتر على ما أعتقد. سأله الرئيس الأمريكي لقداسة البابا المرحوم شنودة، قال له: يا صاحب الغبطة، ألا تعتقد بأن إسرائيل أنها قامت بوعد من الله ويجب أن تباركوها وأن تؤيدوها إلى آخره؟ ماذا أجابه البابا شنودة؟ قال له: يا سيادة الرئيس، يجب أن تميز بين وعد الله ووعد بلفور. الاحتلال تم بوعد من بلفور وليس بوعد من الله، والله لا يحلل القتل والاعتداء على الناس والاعتداء على أملاكهم وعلى أراضيهم واقتلاعهم من وطنهم إلى آخره. نحن في نهاية هذا اللقاء ما أود أن أقوله أننا نؤمن بالسلام، نؤمن بقيم المحبة، نؤمن بقيم التعايش بين الأديان التوحيدية الثلاث. يعني حقيقة نحن الديانة اليهودية بالنسبة إلينا، نحن نحترم أتباع الديانة اليهودية، لا توجد عندنا مواقف كراهية أو عنصرية. يعني أنا أقدر وأثمن أن عددا كبيرا من اليهود خرجوا في المظاهرات وكانت لهم مواقف واضحة رافضة للحرب على غزة. أنا أعتقد بأن الإنسانية كلها بكافة الانتماءات الدينية والعرقية توحدت خلال الفترة الأخيرة في المطالبة وفي المناداة بأن تتوقف هذه الحرب، لأن هذه الحرب تسيء لكل القيم، لكل الإنسانية، لكل المبادئ التي من خلالها يمكن أن يكون هنالك أمل بتحقيق العدالة والسلام في هذه الأرض المقدسة. نحن حقيقة نرفض ما ينادي به هؤلاء الذين يسيئون للمسيحية من خلال تأييدهم لممارسات الاحتلال وظلم الاحتلال. وفي هذا تناقض، يعني السيد المسيح ولد متواضعا في هذه الأرض ونادى بالمحبة، نادى بالتعاطف مع المظلومين، مع المتألمين، مع منكسري القلوب. يجب أن يعود هؤلاء إلى المسيحية الحقيقية لكي يكتشفوا بأن الله محبة، والله يدعونا إلى أن نكون إلى جانب كل إنسان متألم في هذا العالم. فكم بالحري عندما يكون هؤلاء الشعب الفلسطيني.
These Zionist Christian groups that claim commitment to Christianity are adopting a misguided interpretation, a wrong interpretation of the Bible and of the Old Testament. I recall an incident with the late Pope Shenouda of the Coptic Orthodox Church in Egypt during a visit to the United States in the 80s, when I think it was President Carter who asked Pope Shenouda, Your Holiness, do you not think that the establishment of the State of Israel is the fulfillment of the promise of God, and that you should support this state? And Pope Shenouda's response was, I think you are confusing the promise of God with the promise of Balfour. God's promise is not fulfilled through occupation and oppression. Bishop Atallah continues, we believe in peace and we believe in coexistence. We believe in the peaceful coexistence and the essential similarity between the three monotheistic religions. We respect and cherish many Jewish people who practice their faith, especially Jewish people who have in these past weeks protested against the war. All of humanity was united during these recent times in demanding an end to this war. This war offends all of human values and all of human principles. We reject these Zionist Christians' calls that offend Christianity. Jesus Christ was called for solidarity among people, called for empathizing with the oppressed, with the destitute, called for love, and that is the true message of Christianity.
Thank you so much. I want to mention, Paula said here that South Africa is officially bringing war crime charges against Israel before the ICC, the International Criminal Court, calling it a genocide. Also, the Pope has called for a ceasefire. And I'm going to ask everybody, if you haven't called your representatives yet, to call them. And we're not just asking for a ceasefire. I mean, imagine you're having a dream of someone trying to kill you, and then you wake up, and then you go right back into that dream again. So we don't want a ceasefire. We want a ceasefire for good, and we want an end to the occupation. It is a privilege that we're on this Zoom right now. It's a privilege that we have internet. It's a privilege that we get to hug our children at night. It is a privilege that we're speaking to each other. And so I ask everybody, if you have not spoken up yet, this is the time to speak out. It's already late. We should have been speaking out if we haven't. Our voices are everything. The reason that we're on this Zoom, the reason that people are hearing about Palestine and the tide is changing dramatically is because we have resources available to us to get the information out. And so you can use that. Don't be scared of your family. That, if you're on the right side of history, they're the ones that are going to have to live with when they realize where they stood in a time like this. And so I urge everybody to please not be silent. Silence is complicity. Speak out, because you could be saving thousands of lives. I want to thank everybody that's been on this Zoom. If people are interested in going to Palestine, please follow us, go to our website, fill out an interest form, and you can meet with our leaders such as Reverend Mitri and the Archbishop Atallah, among many others in Palestine. I want to thank Islam for being with us. Somebody sent a beautiful message to Islam and said, thank you so much for sharing your story. They appreciate you and they hope that you stay safe. And to all our brothers and sisters in all the refugee camps, in all the cities throughout Palestine, which includes 48, the occupied West Bank, and the occupied, well, the under military siege, Gaza Strip. Love to everybody. And this recording will be available online, and we will send it out to everybody that was on here today or who that signed up. So thank you so much, and thank you to all of our speakers. شكرا كتير. الله يعطيكم العافية.
شكرا لك كمان، يعطيك العافية.
Thank you, Nancy, and Eyewitness Palestine. All the best and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. مع السلامة. Ending in 3, 2